everybody, and welcome to this edition of our Big Time Boxing Show. One I'm looking forward to because I get a chance to chat with a gentleman that I know from many different venues. His name is Mark Shunock. You know him perhaps best as the ring announcer for Top Rank Boxing. We're going to talk about that with him and his entrance into the boxing world and all the other eclectic activities that Mark is a part of, especially here in Las Vegas, my hometown. Before we get to him, as you know, I like to kind of mention upcoming fights that I think are really good and give you some tips and suggestions on what you might want to look at. Now, we know on November 15th that Mike Tyson and Jake Paul are fighting on Netflix in a pay-per-view. That is a novelty event that some people will love, some people will not love. However, I have to tell you that if you want to spend your $6, which is all it is, to get that, you will get something quite worthwhile. And that is the Amanda Serrano-Katie Taylor matchup for the undisputed junior welterweight title on that card. It was a brilliant move by them to put that fight on that card because it adds legitimacy to it. And they met at Madison Square Garden before and had one of the best fights that's ever been staged in women's boxing. So that one's worth looking at. The following night, on November 16th, Chris Billiam Smith taking on Zurdo Ramirez in a cruiserweight match for two of the world titles, which I think is going to be an absolute war. I think that fight's going to be fantastic. That one's on DAZN, well worth you watching. And on that same card, another really good fight at 140 pounds, which you all know is my favorite division in boxing. Arnold Barboza against former champion Jose Ramirez. A very important fight for both of those fighters and a must-win, especially for Ramirez, but even for Barboza, even though he's undefeated. He's just past 30. He needs to make his move in that weight division. And also on that card, a mention that Kenneth Sims, who is a terrific 140-pounder, but has been kind of inactive, and I think is one of the very best that weight division, will be back in action against Oscar Duarte. So you can catch that card, as I said, on DAZN. So a couple of very good boxing matches that weekend. Well, my guest on this show has been doing the ring announcing for some very good boxing matches in recent years. And he is not only the ring announcer for Top Rank Boxing, he also here in Las Vegas, he is omnipresent in the sports scene as he works with both the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights hockey team, and is a big fixture here in the world of sports and the world of entertainment, which we'll get to as well. So let me welcome him in now, my pal Mark Shunock. Mark, how are you?
Hey, Al, thanks for having me on, man. It's great to be with you today.
I'm delighted. This is fun, and we haven't had. This is nice because I get a chance to talk to you about what you're doing now in the world of boxing, and also some of the other endeavors that I know you're involved with that probably a lot of fans do, but not everybody. You've had a very interesting and unlikely journey through all the different things you've done in your life, and one of them is what you're doing now with Top Rank Boxing. And I think the story of how it happened is really an interesting one. Give our fans an idea of just exactly how you ended up landing in this spot.
Yeah, it is a crazy story. As you mentioned, I've been a part of the Vegas Golden Knights hockey team since day one. Had the privilege of working for the team for 8 seasons now. Prior to that, I was helping bring the franchise to Las Vegas with what we were calling the Vegas Wants Hockey campaign. And that was 10 years ago. But in season 1, our inaugural season, maybe a month into the season, Todd DeBoeuf came to a hockey game. And we all know Todd as president or owner of Top Rank Boxing under his dad, Bob Arum. And, you know, he basically said, who's this goofy guy at a hockey game? Let's find him. And sure enough, a couple weeks later, CAA Sports, based in Los Angeles, gave me a call and said, hey, would you be interested in meeting with Top Rank Boxing? They're based in Vegas. And pretty much the rest is history. You know, I've been privileged to work for Top Rank and this incredible organization for almost 7 years now. And it's been an incredible journey. I'm still growing and learning in the sport, as you know, because boxing is so crazy that you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You never know what's going to happen in that ring. But I have been blessed to be able to call Top Rank home for the past 7 years. It's an unbelievable promotional company. To be able to go to work with Bob Arum week in and week out is something very special, and I certainly don't take it for granted.
Yeah, I started out my career in 1980 with the ESPN Top Rank Boxing Series. So that was when they were doing 47 fights a year on ESPN, and that was one of that was back in the day when that really helped put Top Rank Boxing on the map. They were doing some, of course, major pay-per-views, but that was what put them on the map. So I recognize the connection. When you have a connection with them, it's beneficial. You have in your background the credit as an actor. And I heard you interestingly talking about how that in some ways informs your work as a ring announcer.
Yeah, when I was 19 years old, I moved to New York City. I grew up in a small town in Canada, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. And, after college, I moved to New York to pursue an acting career. And, I worked as an actor for almost 20 years. I was
On
fortunate
Broadway
enough
as well, huh?
some incredible shows.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
great.
a part of The Lion King. And what brought me to Vegas was a big Broadway musical called Rock of Ages, a big 80s musical. And at that time, that was 14 years ago now. And at that time, I thought, well, I'll go to Vegas and I'll do 6 months, maybe a year, and then we'll go back to New York or LA and find the next gig as an actor. But that's right around the same time that Bill Foley, the owner of the Vegas Golden Knights, announced publicly that he wanted to bring a team to Las Vegas. And so the goofy actor guy that I was, I literally just cold called Fidelity Financial after I saw his interview on the news. And I said, look, I'm an actor in Las Vegas on the Strip. How can I help? I love hockey. I'm from Canada. Can I help you make this a reality? And that phone call really changed my life because it did introduce me to the world of professional sports. I never set out to work in sports. I wanted to be an actor, and I was for 20 years, all over the place, all over the country. I was fortunate enough to work with some incredible companies, but that one phone call really changed my life because they offered me a job as a host, which led to Top Rank. It led to a couple of seasons with the Raiders, like you had mentioned, and it's just been an incredible journey. So, I take a different approach, I think. I didn't go to school for broadcasting or hosting. I was a trained professional actor, and I was fortunate enough to perform on some of the best stages across the country for many years. And I'm a fan. At the end of the day, I'm a big fan of hockey. I'm a huge fan of boxing, and that's where I start. I lead with my heart. I love getting to know the fighters, learning about their journeys, where they're from, meeting their families, and following their careers. And especially with Top Rank, because they do such a wonderful job at building up these young fighters and really taking them under their wing. Some of the best matchmakers in the business with Bruce and Brad Goodman and Bruce Trampler, being able to hang out with those guys and watch their process has just been remarkable. So, hopefully I can continue growing and learning and being a part of this sport that I love so much. And it's just been a crazy, crazy ride.
You made a comment about how even that you dress in black, partially because you want to, of course, you want to look stylish and be appropriately dressed, but you almost don't want to take the focus away from the fighters. You were saying that I heard you saying that the most important thing is the fighters and their persona in that ring.
Yeah, listen, at the end of the day, my job is to get that building pumped up, but more importantly, the fighters, right? And it's about them in that moment. I may be the one on the mic whipping through all of their stats and introducing them, but that's why I choose to wear black, right? It's not about me in that moment. It really is about them, and they're the ones risking their lives walking into that ring, and they're fighting for their life, some of them, right? So the last thing I want to do is steal that moment or make that moment about me, because it really is about these young men and women getting into the ring, risking it all, and going to battle. So I try to take a more classic approach to those introductions. I try not to do too much and just make it really about the battle that we're about to see. and we even do that at the Vegas Golden Knights games. We do some goofy stuff in the arena when you come to a hockey game, but we try to make whatever we're doing about the game that we're about to watch or the fight that we're about to see. So that's the approach I take. And again, I'm still learning, still evolving, still trying new things. But at the end of the day, for me, it's always about paying respect to the fighter in that moment and giving them hopefully what they want to get pumped up and get ready to go.
There's often a disconnect for people in either in my profession or sometimes in what you're doing or people presenting sports where they somehow don't make that basic fact the genesis of what they do. And when they don't, I don't think they serve their cause well because, of course, you want to do your job and you will be noticed because you're doing it and you will make an impact. But when you keep the focus on the participants, at the end of the day, it'll serve everybody better, including yourself. And you've done a great job at it. And I think the other thing that you've done in this, and you mentioned you've been doing it now for pretty long time, and you feel like you continue to grow. I feel like you have created a very, I'm going to use the word utilitarian, and that may seem like an odd phrase to use, but it's a very direct, effective approach to ring announcing that doesn't overly embellish things, but gives people what they need and still has infuses it with a certain excitement.
Well, hearing that from you, I'll take it, man. I'm just honored to be here with you today, and for you to say that, it means the world. So thank you very much. Like I
Yeah,
said, I'm a kid in a candy store. I love the sport, but most importantly, I love getting to know these fighters,
yeah,
right? And watching their journey. And I'm fortunate that I get to host the press conferences on
right.
Thursday. We do the weigh-ins on Friday, obviously, and then I'm the ring announcing on Saturday. So I'm with these guys pretty much all through fight week, and I get to see behind the curtain a little bit, of their process and what they're going through. And we're downstairs at a hotel eating lunch, and the families are there, and their camps are with them, and so it's been a really remarkable past few years with Top Rank, just being sort of thrust into this world and being on the road 25, 30 weeks a year. We're a circus. We're going from city to city. I'm at the Turning Stone Resort right now in upstate New York. We've got the Robeson Conceição Shockey Foster rematch, which is going to be a banger tomorrow night. And like I said, it's just been just remarkable to be a part of this world day in and day out. And I truly mean that when I say getting to peek behind the curtain and see the camps and the families and it's unlike anything. Really, truly is.
Yeah, and doing not just the ring announcing, but doing the weigh-ins and the other things gives you more of a chance to kind of focus in on that as well. Now, the world that's watching this show, that can see it wherever, they know you from that endeavor. But I know you, and many people in Las Vegas know you not only from your work with the Las Vegas Golden Knights, but your world in entertainment. And I know you because I'm a part of the entertainment scene as a performer here in Las Vegas and very involved with a lot of other performers. And so one of the ways I know your impact on the city is for an entertainment space that you created called The Space in Las Vegas, and another important show that's part of it, which we'll talk about in a second. But when you created The Space back in, I think 2014, have I got that right? Or
17. Yeah, about 8 years
17?
ago. 8 years
Yeah,
ago.
17. I was dangerously close.
Close.
But how did that come about, and how did that fit into your dream of what you wanted to do?
It started just as a give back. Really, I wanted to create a facility that embraced and cultivated the art scene in Las Vegas. We're so spoiled with some of the best shows on the Strip, And sometimes from an outsider's perspective, we hear it a lot when you say you live in Vegas, people will ask you, do you live at the Venetian?
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
you live in the Strip? And the best way that I've explained it over the years, having lived in Vegas now almost 14 years, is we don't live in Times Square, right? Everybody knows Times Square in New York City. We don't live on the Strip in Las Vegas. There's almost 3 million people there now. And the mission behind the space is just to create a true community center that allows local musicians and entertainers the opportunity to try out their material in a really top-notch facility. We're really proud of the lighting and sound and
Oh,
the
amazing.
technology that's in the building, right? And it's this goofy warehouse a block off the Strip, and it's just, the reason behind it was just to cultivate a scene and let our local artists know that they have a safe place at the space, no pun intended, to work out their material and be the stars that they are, right? And there's a bunch of young bands and musicians that have played our facility that have gone on to some big, big things. And so we're proud of that, and that's really it. We do a lot of programming during the day. So in the evenings, there's shows that are ticketed and open to the public. But during the day, we can host an Alzheimer's support group meeting. We have veterans learning how to play music to help with their PTSD. We have all Alcoholics Anonymous meetings taking place in there. So it really is a true community center serving the people who live in Las Vegas. And like I said, there's 3 million people there almost now. So it's thriving. It's doing well. Listen, I'm not retiring from it by any means, but the building is still there. 8 years into it now, it's survived a pandemic, which tells me that it's doing the right things. It's open for the right reasons.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I'm going to tell you this. So, in the last 35 years or so, I've probably sung all around the United States in a million different venues. No venue has better sound than this space. And
Well,
my son is one of those young band members that performed at
yeah.
your space, and I told him, you will never hear yourself better as a singer or sound better than you will at the space.
Hey,
So,
I'll
yeah,
take it. I love it. Well,
it's
listen,
amazing. I see you
as a
guys.
performer, as a performer myself,
Yes,
I'm not going to open a venue and invite my friends to perform there without great lighting and great sound.
absolutely.
So,
Well,
that's what I pride myself on. From the exterior of the building, when you walk up, you're like, where the heck am I going here? What is this place? But then when you walk in, it's pretty special.
yeah, and one of the mission statements of the space is a show called Monday's Dark, which you've had going on bi-weekly or bi-monthly, or bi-weekly, I should say,
Yeah.
in which you raise money for charities. What's the total? I know the total amount raised is like some extraordinary figure. What are we at approximately in money you've raised for charities around here?
Yeah, I thank you for bringing it up because Monday's Dark is my passion project. Monday's Dark will celebrate 11 years in
Hmm.
Las Vegas this December. And for those who don't know, it's essentially a show that I host with a full band. It's a variety show. Think Jimmy Kimmel meets Saturday Night Live. It happens every other Monday. And every other Monday, we partner with a different local nonprofit and we give them a check for 10,000 bucks. And we've done it for, like I said, 11 years this December. We've partnered with over 200 local nonprofits, and they've each received $10,000. So I think we're creeping up 2.1, $2.2 million raised for Las Vegas. And it's simply by, 20 bucks at a time. It's not an expensive show to come and see. It's $20. Some tickets are 50 bucks, but what we do is we invite 8 to 10 headliners from the Strip. You never really know who's going to show up. And in 90 minutes, doing some goofy stuff, and you've been a part of the show, so thank you for donating your talents you've got on our stage and sung a song with us. We always write a check for $10,000, and it's just our way as an entertainment community to give back to the hundreds of local nonprofits doing great work in our city. And that's a testament to Las Vegas, right? It really shows you that there are so many amazing people committed to various causes in our city. And as an entertainer, as a host, it's I just feel obligated to give back, and this is my way of giving back. And I couldn't do it without the entertainment community, right? They show up, they donate their talent, they get up and sing a song, tell jokes, do some magic tricks, whatever. And in those 90 minutes, we write a check for 10,000 bucks.
It's an extraordinary event and a fun event for anybody that comes. And I urge you to go check out the on the website of the space. And find out about that event and also all the other events that are there. So before I let you go, when it comes to your ring announcing career and your boxing association, what's the most rewarding part of it so far for you, and how do you see it developing in addition to the ring announcing? How do you see that part developing for you?
That's a great question. The most rewarding part, I think, goes back to, like I said, meeting fighters and their
Yeah,
families and learning about them. This is an individual sport, right? It's not a team sport like hockey or basketball, football. Yes, they have their trainers and they have their nutritionists and their camps around them, but when that bell rings, it's one individual in the ring, and being able to follow a lot of these young fighters now over the last 7 years and seeing them develop, and some of them grow into men. They signed with Top Rank when they're 17, 18 years old, and now they're in their early 20s on the cusp of greatness. To be able to see these kids become men and grow up in the sport of boxing has been just an unbelievable, what's the word? Just a blessing for me as a host, as a ring announcer, to be able to witness that, and hopefully my ring announcing pays tribute to that, right? Like we talked about earlier, I just wanted to make it about these fighters, and to be able to work with the likes of Joe Tessitore, Bernardo Osuna, Timothy Bradley Jr., Christina Poncher. It's just been a clinic, right? And watching you do what you do when on the call, it's greatness, right? It's just greatness surrounding greatness. That's what makes boxing so special. And so for me, that's the biggest reward. Where do I see myself going in the sport? Who knows? The sky's the limit. When you look at the likes of the legendary Michael Buffer and what he's been able to do for the sport of boxing, it is so iconic. And nobody will ever be able to do what Michael Buffer has done for boxing. But when you look up to the likes of people like that and what they've been able to do, I'm a kid in a candy store. If I could have a fraction of the impact that he has made on the sport, I would be so grateful. But I'm not going anywhere. I absolutely love what I do, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, Michael and Jimmy Lennon Jr. as well, too, the iconic men to have done that, and
Yeah,
you're doing them proud, and you're doing a great job with Top Rank, and it's fun to see. Knowing you from your other world, it's fun to see
yeah.
you make that entrance into the boxing world, and see you're enjoying it and thriving in it. So that's a great thing.
I'm just so grateful that you've brought me into the fold as well. I've always been a fan of yours, and like you said, we first met on the entertainment scene
Yeah,
in Las Vegas. And when I first met you, I was like, "Oh my God, that's AlBernstein from boxing. I love this guy."
I know
And then
that knucklehead.
yeah, here we are years later, and I'm able
Yeah,
to call myself a part of the sport now, and
yeah,
it's just been incredible. And I certainly, if there's any message I could hammer home on your show, it's just I don't take anything for granted, and I am so grateful for the opportunities that have come my way, and just to be a part of this community is really something special.
well, you added to it, and that's a big plus. Mark, thanks for doing this. Well, I'll have you back, and we'll talk about some specific boxing sometime because you're a fan of it and you know the sport. And I wanted to do this show so people could, delve into your personal story a little bit because I think it's a fascinating one. And we'll have you back again, and we can chat some boxing and kick it around a little bit.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me on, Al. Be well.
All right, take care, Mark. So that
Yeah.
was Mark Shunock. I hope you enjoyed that discussion with him. He's had a remarkable and eclectic career already, and he has many more miles to go. We'll see you next time on Big Time Boxing.